There's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father.
Man, this stuff rocks.
This is Dusty Grant, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Hour, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I am your host, John the Bod, aka the Bod Father. And as always, I bring you guys and gals awesome interviews. But before we get the guest on here, I just want to say, everybody, please get on and subscribe to the BODS Mayhem Hour YouTube page. It takes 2 seconds to just click on subscribe and click on the notification bell. So that way you get every interview and everything that we do that comes down the pipe, because we got a lot of stuff that's coming up for each and every single person out there. So without further ado, I have Dusty Grant, Wichita, Kansas-based dark rock artist. Dusty Grant has released the official music video for the debut single entitled Oceans and second single When It All Crashed Down with his new band. Also, the band's new album, When It All Crashed Down, is out now. And I got Dusty on here. So Dusty, how's it going, man? Welcome to the podcast.
I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you doing?
Doing awesome. Glad to have you on the podcast, man.
Thank you. It's been a busy day.
I would say so. So how excited is the band to have this new album, When It All Crashed Down, out right now, man? How's it feel finally to get this out?
It feels good. We recorded a couple tracks at the end of last year. Then we recorded Oceans, and we're going in to record another song tomorrow, actually. But we've had these songs kind of in the can for a while, and we've just been trying to get the video lined out, get all the assets together, and make sure that we could try to launch it as pro as we possibly could. So we got Oceans out, and then we had everything finished When It All Crashed Down, and then we just said, screw it, let's put it out as soon as possible. So we're just going to keep firing out singles as fast as we can get them done.
How frustrating was it to set on these, man, to say, we got to get these out? I'm tired of setting on these. I know these are your babies, but I mean, geez, man, how frustrating was it?
It's pretty frustrating. I mean, it's I'm not a very patient guy as it is. So it's tough for me to sit and wait, because you want to get it out there and you want to see what people think. And you want to see how things are going to react for you. And I got a little impatient, but it's better to be patient and do it the right way and make sure you have everything set to give yourself the best chance, because it's hard to stand out these days. It's a pretty crowded space.
That's exactly right, man. I feel like and I don't mean this in a bad way, but it's a little oversaturated with everything.
I agree. I think the barrier entry is super easy. You can spend $60 on a DistroKid account and you can start releasing your own music. In a lot of cases, that doesn't mean you necessarily should. And it's not to say that anyone's bad or anything like that, but I think a lot of artists get in a hurry to just put stuff out before they're ready. And I think it actually ends up hurting you more than it does helping you.
What led the track Oceans to be the first track released off this album? And what was it about this song that said, that's got to be the first one that comes out swinging?
This is one that Jason Catlett, my guitar player, and I wrote last year. A friend of ours was killed in a hit and run, a mentor and friend of ours. And he was a big influential figure here in the music scene. He kind of helped me come up and gave me opportunities before anybody else. So he was a good friend of ours. And we, after his untimely passing, I'd lost a couple other friends in the last year as well. And just, it was a really low point for me. So I wrote the lyrics separately. And Jason actually wrote the music for the song separately. We didn't know that we were really working on the same song. But he said, man, I have some riffs. You got to come over to the studio and see. And I'm like, I have something too. I'll lay it down and see if it works. And it ended up being Ocean. So.
Maybe that was a meant to be thing, man. Maybe that was your friend saying, hey, this is you two need to do this.
Yeah, sometimes it certainly feels, I'm not a huge spiritual religious guy or anything like that, but sometimes things happen and you're just like, man, that's kind of feels like more than a coincidence. And this is definitely one of those cases for sure.
Working on that track with Jason, I've known Jason for a couple of years now, but how special was that to see what he had and plus what you had and just the connection with this song and you two working on it?
Well, Jason's been a friend of mine for a long time, and he's been somebody that I've looked up to in the music scene. He's a great promoter. He's a great graphic designer. He's an amazing musician and songwriter. And he and I had been friends, but we'd never really actually had a chance to work together. We'd wanted to a couple times. And then he started playing leads for me last year, and one thing kind of led to another. And I think it's helped take my songwriting up another level. I think is when I'm playing and writing the lyrics, the songs are a little different because I'm playing around my voice a little bit. But when Jason sends me something, most of the time I'm just taking like a pure vocalist approach to it. And then maybe learning the guitar parts after the fact once we get the vocals kind of dialed in. So it's been a really awesome tandem, man. The chemistry between he and I has been amazing.
I got to know, Dusty, are these all brand new songs, or these songs that didn't make a previous album or an EP, or they're songs that's just been in a vault that's been needing to get out for years?
Oceans was brand new. We wrote that one last year. When It All Crashed Down is actually a remake of one of my solo acoustic songs. Oh. We were playing it live. We were playing it live with the full band arrangement that we ended up recording, and people were like, man, you guys got to go record that song. You guys got to go record that song. So that's what we did. Shot a new video, got Bwana on the track, and it ended up turning out awesome. So it was like, we can't really help but put this out. The next song we put out will be brand new, and we're working on a cover as well and planning to write more and more. I'm just going to keep cranking them out as much as I possibly can, just as long as the quality is there.
Now, this project came together in 2017, correct?
Yes, it was just me in 2017. And then last year, the full band thing kind of started taking on a life of its own.
After adding the missing pieces, what have they brought to the band that made it perfectly fit as a unit? I know you got Jason, but what about the rest of the pieces that fit in?
They're just amazing players, first of all, and second of all, they're amazing people with very little ego. Bwana and I have been singing together for a really long time. Her voice is almost identical to mine, just in the female range. So when her and I harmonize together, it's, I have kind of a grittier sound, and her sound is like very technical and pristine and pretty. So with our voices, it kind of provides a good contrast. Shane is an amazing rhythm. He's amazing at keeping time, and he's amazing with like flavorful fills and playing what the song requires, not trying to do too much. And then Chris just rounds everything out with the low end. Him and Shane click really well. And the guys are just a pleasure to work around, and everybody is there to do what's right for the song, not for their ego. It's just been an absolutely beautiful project to be a part of, to be honest. It's
a good thing when everybody meshes, man. You've got that camaraderie, it's the brotherhood and sisterhood when it all comes together.
Yeah, I've worked my whole life to get a group like this together, honestly. So the fact that it's finally happening now, it's, you can't pick when it happens. It's going to happen. And I'm just rolling with the punches now and just going with it because it's going well. So I'm just going to keep leaning into it.
You mentioned something about this project being very, very important to you now. What made it important to you now versus say 2017? How important is this project to you now personally?
I think as I go, I get more invested in it. I think I like it more. I think I learn more about the business, and I learn more about myself. So I think it's more important to me now than ever. It's always been important to me, but for different reasons. And it's now, now I'm trying to develop the band and all that stuff. It's not just me anymore. I'm representing other people too. And I just want to do the best job I possibly can with these songs. So it's very important to me. It's one of the most important things in my life. It's basically become a part of who I am at this point. I can't ever imagine myself not working on music anymore. This is kind of just what I do now.
Was there a track that you were working on that totally ended up sounding different than it was intended to when it was first brought to the table? Was there one that just, changed and had multiple layers of changing to it?
When I did my solo acoustic stuff, there was a song that I'd written after I'd gotten in a fight with my wife. And I went downstairs and I acted like a jerk. And you're kind of embarrassed after you get in a fight or whatever like that. You say things you say things you don't mean. And I wrote something, and sent it over to my producer and hit another songwriter and named Jimmy Beatty. And Jimmy's like, dude, I've read the lyrics. I didn't even hear the music you sent. Can I put something to this? And I was like, go ahead. So he sent me back a demo, and that ended up being my single, All the Good Times. But it took my lyrics basically and just kind of spun the melody around and made it into a really concise, beautiful song. And I wasn't like, I never fall in love with stuff too much. I realize it can always change when you get a good producer in the room. They can always tell you, hey, cut this part. We need to do something different here, whatever. And I don't get too attached to anything. So it was cool to have the perspective of, songwriters that I admire helping me make one of my songs better.
I know these are your babies, but are there any tracks standing out more to you than any right now on this album?
I think the one we play live that we all have a lot of fun with is a song of mine called The Jester. It was a solo acoustic track, but when we play it together as a band, it's just like this roller coaster of emotions, and it's a very, very vibey song. But as far as anything standing out, I really do love them all. I love to play them all. I have no problem putting them in and out of the set and that kind of thing. So, I mean, right now, I would have to say When It All Crashed Down is the most important, because that's the one I'm pushing the hardest right now, just because it came out today. Yeah. But Oceans will always have it'll always have a place in my heart just because of the subject matter. And there's been a lot of growing and suffering during that time. And it's I like to write music that's kind of a snapshot of where I'm at in my life. And Oceans is one that I'll hold really dear to me,
So are you still just going to focus on this project, or are you still going to focus on your like acoustic stuff, your solo stuff? You still going to do both back and forth, or no?
It depends on what time allows, honestly. I do have a couple shows where I've been able to get booked solo acoustic. But I've had a little tougher time booking the band just because of the way fuel is and everything like that. It's super expensive to travel.
Yes.
And a lot of venues are just getting up and going again. So I don't blame them. I understand they got to stay alive, and we all have to stay alive. And so it's easier to get an acoustic gig. You can just get in your car and drive up there. You don't have to roll the van out and all the gear and all that stuff. So I've been taking a couple acoustic gigs where we'll play through our stuff acoustic. But I will probably keep writing songs with Jason. That's not to say that I won't write some solo acoustic songs when I get the time. But right now, I'm already planning on going to the studio tomorrow and shooting another video for another song. So we're going to be getting ready for another launch. So we're just kind of writing when in between, releasing music and doing all the stuff that's required, because we do it all ourselves. So
we first go through COVID, and we're still not out of COVID just as of yet, which everything's kind of released. Now we got to go through the stupid gas price BS.
Yeah.
And now we got the food shortage and all that crap going on. Jesus.
Yeah. It's making things pretty tough.
It is, man. It's like one hurdle after another hurdle. It's like, is anybody in control? Do we have anybody that's got the balls to do anything? Come on.
Sure doesn't seem like it to me.
No. It's very frustrating I don't care who you vote for. I don't care any of that stuff, but it's very frustrating on what all is going on for the past 2 or 3 years. It's very, very hard and very frustrating right now for me personally. And I know for you probably too.
Yeah, it is. It's frustrating as hell. It's you're putting 3 times the money in your gas tank when you fill up.
Yeah.
I got family, groceries are way higher, utilities are everything's higher. So you got to start pinching pennies. I want to put a little extra money into promotion, and I can't because I have to be safe, but yeah, it is frustrating. And I think it's making it tough for, smaller acts to travel much because fuel is the way it is,
It is, sir. It is.
It seems like musicians never get inflation calculated into their pay. It's like everybody else gets inflation factored in, but we're still getting $50 door deals and stuff like that. It's like, when's the inflation going to hit the music business, for the artists?
Yeah. When It All Crashed Down video, that was directed by JT Ibanez. Let's talk about that. How was working with him on this?
He's amazing. This was the second video we'd shot with him. He's got a studio up in St. Louis, which is about 6 hours from here, but we just load up and get a hotel room for the night and then shoot all day. And for these recordings, my producer, that Chris Dawson, was like, dude, you got to give these songs a shot. You got to go, go shoot videos with my dude, JT. And so we went up there, and he's a professional. He gets stuff done fast. He knows exactly what he wants from you. And you just go up there and dive into it. And it's hard work. It's a long day, but at the end of the day, it's always worth it, because the product that comes out of it always ends up being quality. I haven't seen anything that he's done that I haven't been impressed by. So working with a guy like that, you learn a lot too,
Did the pandemic help the band to take more time to be more creative on this album, coming up with songs and honing in everything? Do you think that it gave you guys that time to be more creative?
Well, during the pandemic, I was still kind of solo. So I was just writing songs and recording and releasing music kind of on my own. Mm-hmm. But it did give me a chance to be creative as far as learning more about the business, networking, and just trying to build my infrastructure, if you want to call it that, to be ready for when things came back and get ready to release music. So I never really stopped trying to grow my following during that time. I was still promoting. I started a podcast just so I could stay connected to people, and, wrote music and recorded music when I could and put it out, and just said, I'm just going to keep going with it. And then now that we're back open, we had a pretty good run of shows last year. I'm hoping that picks up again this year. But yeah, I mean, it definitely changed the way I look at things, because before that, I was on the road. I was doing 40 or 50 shows a year, also working full time, also being a dad. So it was pretty hard. And then I got stuck home and realized that I like being home with my family. I like being home with my wife and kids. And that I needed to be a little bit more selective about what I was playing. And I got the advice of a friend, in booking, who's gave me some pointers and guided me. So I definitely used the time to get creative and realize what was really important for me and for my music business, and, my project and brand and all that. And I'm always reevaluating that, but that time gave me a lot of time to work on that stuff.
Chris Dawson produced the album. How was working with Chris, man? Did he get something out of you guys that maybe somebody else might not have gotten possibly?
Yeah, he always does. When It All Crashed Down is the 10th song that I've released that he's produced. So he's been with me from the beginning pretty much. And he always brings something new out of me every time I go in the studio. I always come away with a new wrinkle or a new tone of voice or a new something that I didn't know that I could do before. And he always, you take a good song in there, and he just kind of puts it on steroids for you. You get it back and you're just like, God dang, that's exactly what I heard in my head. But yeah, I learn something every time I go, for sure.
What's the growth musically you've seen from yourselves working on these songs, man, if anything, via your acoustic stuff or everybody just in one collaborating on this album? What have you seen musically, the growth in you all?
I think that we're all better songwriters, and I think we're all getting used to playing with each other and kind of knowing what to expect when and who does what. So I feel like we're a really well-rounded band. I feel like the songwriting is very strong, and it's because it's always at the heart of everything that we do. And so I think the more we play together, the more dangerous we're going to be, just because we're still relatively new as a unit. We've only been together for about a year. So, there's nowhere to go but up, I think.
What do you hope everyone takes away while listening to this new album or any of your music in general, man? What do you hope they get from it?
I hope they feel a connection with it. I hope they, when they're going through a dark time or a hard time, that they listen to it and realize that somebody else is going through it, and they don't have to feel so alone. They don't have to feel so insecure about how they're feeling. It's okay to feel your feelings. It's okay to, let your mind go to those dark places sometimes, to find yourself and grow through it and learn from it and learn more about existing on this planet, and hopefully people just feel a connection. Hopefully people won't feel so alone when they're going through a hard time, and hopefully they feel like they can rock out to it too a little bit.
What's it mean for you though when someone grasps on to one of these songs and makes it their anthem, makes it the words that they can't say but you're saying it for them?
That's pretty much why I do it. Like I'm definitely not doing it for the money. I just got done doing the books for this project, and there's a lot of red ink. But that's why I do it, to make connections with people like that, to try and tell a story that someone can apply to their own life or their own situation and go, man, this guy must have known what I was thinking. And to hear those things, it's incredible to know that, the art that you're putting out there is hitting the mark with somebody, whether it's one person or 10 people or 100 people. Those connections are what's important. And that's the main reason I do it.
I know you've had a lot of music growing up, and I know you still do today, and I know I do myself, but do you still have a go-to album or a song that you find yourself going back to and listening to from time to time that you just cannot kick out? You've got to go back and listen to it at some point.
Yeah, there's quite a few of those songs for me. The whole Alice in Chains Dirt album is one that I can go back to anytime, any place, whatever. There's a song called Into This Darkness by a band called Everybody Panic. I always listen to that song. It's just a chilling description of what depression feels like. And, those are the types of songs that I find really resonating with me, or the ones that make my hair stand up, the ones that give me goosebumps when a line hits or a certain chord hits, and you're just like, oh man, I can feel that. Like the hairs on my arms stand up just talking about it. But yeah, that I would say Dirt is one of my go-tos for sure. There's an album by Whitey Morgan in the 78s, who's like a honky tonk country guy. It's called Hard Times and White Lines, and I really love that album too. That's an album that I go back to time and time again.
Folks, you want to get out and pick up When It All Crashed Down. It's out. It's released. The album is out. You want to pick this up. Also check out that single and the previous single, Oceans. Give this band a fair shot. Dusty, my friend, how can folks stay in touch with you guys? Buy some merchandise, tour dates, all this good stuff when it all happens. Man, how can you do that?
Best place is the website, www.dustygrant.com. I'm on all the socials at DustyGrant57. I'm on TikTok, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, Deezer, Tidal, all those things. So any streaming platform that you could possibly want to find me on, I should be on there. Just search for Dusty Grant and I should come up there.
And I'll also have all the links in this interview when I post it. All these links will be here for everybody can find the everything about you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Before I let you go, good sir, would you care to do a promo for my show?
Sure. This is Dusty Grant, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour. Please get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link and our YouTube link, and please subscribe to that YouTube link and click on the notification bell. That's all I'm asking, folks. Just give me a fair shot and give Dusty Grant a fair shot. I know you'll like his music. Get out and check out When It All Crashed Down. That's released, and it's out right now. And Dusty, man, I wish you nothing but the best of luck from here on out.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you for the opportunity to come on and chat.
No problem, folks. I just like to say I'm affiliated with Metal Inc. Forum Obscure, which is a online magazine that talks about obscure art plus band reviews, stuff like that, album reviews. Also, Diary of the Madman, the ultimate Ozzy Osbourne podcast with Dan and Josh. You want to check that out. Those guys are awesome. And give them a fair shot as well. Dusty, my friend, as always, you've got support on here from me from here on out, man.
I appreciate you very much, man. Thank you.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.